Beating the isolated queen pawn is the topic of this video today. We're gonna see Karpov using strategic exchanges, the principle of two weaknesses, and transformation of advantages to overcome Viktor the Terrible Kortschnoj in a World Championship match game from 1981. This is a real classic. I think it's one of the must know games. One of the things you simply have to have as part of your chess culture. So let's get on to it. This is one of my favorite games, very instructive. Victor is white, and we have flipped the board so we can be Karpov. And it's a Queen's Gambit declined. Bishop e7 is a refinement, avoiding the pure exchange variation where white has the option of putting the knight on e2. I probably talked a lot about that in the section on the Carlsbad structure. And we have it's a Queen's Gambit declined, and Rook c1 is aimed against what Karpov usually would do, b6. I think black can play b6 anyway, but since white played Rook c1, it might not be the best square for the Rook in an isolated queen pawn position. So already here we see that the principles we outlined in an earlier edition about where to put the Rooks might actually play a role already here on move 7. c5, and this is known as an equalizer. The thing is, white is use the tempo for Rook c1. That's not really helpful. So, and here comes an important moment in the game. I think if black plays something like b6, white is better here. He has more space. He has good attacking chances. Okay, h6. In general, you would love to have the bishop on this diagonal still instead, because then you could sacrifice on h6 at some point. But also some sort of some battery here with the queen aiming to do something here is a clear plan for white. And when black has played h6, it's not so easy to repair the structure without weakening it too much. But here black plays a great move, and I think it was a novelty at the time, knight h5. That is a good move. Because what do black want in Queen's Gambit declined or isolated queen pawn position? Exchanges. That's what we've been talking about. In general, when you're defending against the isolated queen pawn position, you would like to exchange as much as possible of the pieces, not the pawns. In general, the pieces, the more pieces that goes, the weaker the d pawn becomes, and the fewer attacking chances white will have. The fewer attacking chances you will have. So the attacking chances are diminishing as the pieces disappears. Take. And here I think Victor is already playing too passively. A good move could probably be something like this, and Rook e1, and trying to do maybe get some like a rook lift or something. White has to attack on the king side. He has nothing else. There's no other weaknesses. Otherwise, he could play d5 and aim for a draw. But Victor was not the kind of guy who aimed for a draw, and bishop d7. And this is and black is not afraid to let this piece go. This bishop is not important as long as black controls d5. I think white should start to consider playing for a draw with something maybe like d5. Rook queen e2, and white is still hoping for some sort of attack. Normal move here, and here comes a really bad move by Victor. A really bad move. I think Rook d1 or something, and we're still playing. And I think he should acknowledge that this Rook is badly placed on c1, because it can only be exchanged by this one, and you don't really want exchanges when you're having a weak pawn on d4 that has no defender. And that's the problem with isolated pawns. They don't have any pawn defenders. They have to be defended by pieces, making them in general weak. So here Kortschnoj made a clear mistake, knight e4, and that's simply wrong, exchanging pieces. He's probably hoping to clear something. I think his plan was to clear something and get this bishop here, and then again there might be something down here, but it's not gonna happen. Bishop c6, rook takes c6, and here I think he realized that black can just play knight g6. Nothing's going to happen. There's no mate. There's nothing at all. And here he should take here, because white will not play. Black will not take back with the knight because of d5, and white is probably slightly better, or maybe even bishop c2. But he would take here, and I think these kind of structures in general, you have to be very careful. This bishop can easily become very bad. Anyway, he played rook c3, queen d6, covering everything, and this is an interesting move. Queen b1, rook b6, just not allowing this exchange, just saying, okay, I would like to put all my pressure on this pawn. I'm not going to take here and allow your pawn to be defended. And well, here you can still play bishop c2 here, and you go g6, I think, and white is worse, but it's not a disaster. You might defend. The problem is, of course, the knight can defend, attack here, so white has to be ready to play d5. So you will have to go back with the bishop. It's not an ideal position, but you might be able to hold. But this move just makes no sense. I don't know what the point was. Anyway, and it seems like Viktor just had a very bad day here, and he's preparing to triple the rooks. I'm not sure it's called an Alekhine cannon. I think the expression is a bit confused, and he goes back, and well, and I think Karpov realized here that he was clearly better, of course, because this pawn is just weak. The knight is better, but even though it's better, you still would like to exchange it, because after that, then black will simply put all the pieces on the. You will put this one here, and then you play e5, winning a clear pawn because of the pin in the d file. This is a standard method. You just puts everything on the isolated pawn, and then you push your pawn and win the pawn because it can't take. So you block it, and then you destroy it, and creating a probably winning ending or close to winning ending. So everything is going to attack here, and it's clear that black is having a good time here. And the thing is, a guy like Karpov is really good at keeping the pressure for a long time. So he will do a little bit here, a little bit there, and eventually you will become frustrated and make a mistake, and then he will win easily. And here Karpov said, okay, I can defend this, but it's a hopeless position actually. It's very, very unpleasant. And okay, I can threaten your queen, and so what? And I'm not gonna defend anything. And we see here this setup, and we see that this is threatening here, and it's not so much fun. And here Kortschnoj made another mistake, because at the moment, if he can keep his pieces active after he loses a pawn, if he keeps his pieces active after he loses a pawn, he has decent drawing chances. This is a normal thing. Okay, I lose one pawn, but then everything is fine. That's the good thing about isolated D pawn. You only lose one if you lose them. If you have hanging pawns and you lose one, then you have an isolated pawn, and then you're probably going to lose that as well. Then you lost two pawns, and then you're definitely going to lose the game. So here, if White could somehow minimize the damage and only lose a pawn, and hopefully exchange queens and have a rook ending, he has decent drawing chances. Instead, Viktor panics. He plays f4, and hereby he creates what we call a second weakness. And in general, it's a good thing to have the principle of two weaknesses. I think it was formulated by Alexander Arechin, is that you need two weaknesses to win, or to kill. And here, the second weakness, of course, this structure is not ideal, but the real weakness is, of course, White's king. That's now in serious trouble when the rooks are coming for it, and they are coming. Karpov doesn't hurry at all ever. He will just move around a little bit, and White is, of course, desperate to get some counterplay, and e5, and here it comes. Queen d5, great move. We see that this rook is not really in a good spot, and we're threatening this very unpleasant walk in, and also something like this, and here could be really, really, really unpleasant. There's also another idea. Of course, he covers things, and e5, and this is what we call transformation of advantages. Black is having a clear structural advantage. He has the initiative, he has a weakness to attack, but now he changes it into a direct attack. So he says, okay, it was nice knowing all your weaknesses here and there, but let's get going. Of course, now there's a very serious threat here, and followed by queen f1 mate. So we make that red, and this guy is in trouble. So he has to cover this file, and another threat is coming, queen here, and notice that from this square it's also eyeing this rook. So he's forcing it to here, allowing a deadly rook to enter on the second rank. And of course, it's with this kind of structure, you can only hope to survive if you can deliver some checks or exchange queens, and that's not possible. The queen will come in and will be checked at some point. So already threatening mate in one move. Yeah, and here we can see that the rook is hanging, but but then there will be a perpetual check, and now there's no help anymore. White is not could hope for this and take, and he will take here with perpetual check, but does this move, and it's finished. So this was a model game by Karpov playing against the isolated queen pawn. Notice what he did. Strategic exchanges, getting rid of all the attacking pieces, leaving White with the weak pawn on d4, putting pressure on it, making White panic and play f4, and then launching an attack after there have been two weaknesses. So White's position got overwhelmed by all the defensive duties. A great game by Karpov, and this kind of games you see every month somewhere. White will lose and black will win, or if it's reverse color, in this kind of way. And it's a technique you have to master. It's when you play against the isolated queen pawn, because somehow people can easily get an isolated queen pawn, so you have to know how to play it against it as well. And this is the technique. It demands a little bit of patience. I hope you like this video. This was Suneberg Hansen, your host for GM Talks. Thank you for watching.